History doesn't remember the cautious. It doesn't celebrate the ones who played it safe, who waited for permission, who tiptoed through life terrified of the unknown. It remembers the conquerors, the schemers, the rule breakers who seized power with bloody hands and iron wills. Niccolo Machiavelli knew this better than anyone. Fortune doesn't reward the meek. It bends to the audacity of those bold enough to take it by the throat. Every empire worth its name was built not by hesitation, but by risk. Calculated, cold, ruthless risk. The timid drown in hesitation. The daring carve their names into stone. The lion doesn't ask permission before devouring the lamb, and the successful don't ask the world for approval before they win. They move first, strike hardest, and take what others are too afraid to claim. In a world obsessed with playing nice, Machiavelli offers a brutal truth. It is better to be feared than ignored, better to gamble everything than to die with nothing. Risk is the currency of power, and only those willing to stake it all can ever hope to dominate. Why do risk-takers win? Because the world belongs to those savage enough to claim it. The weak pray for stability. The strong create chaos and profit from it. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince as a bedtime story. He wrote it as a manual for rulers willing to do whatever it takes to win. Here's the first brutal truth. Life doesn't reward fairness, it rewards effectiveness. Look around. The men and women who dominate industries, politics, and culture aren't saints. They're wolves in suits, predators disguised as visionaries. And like Machiavelli said, they don't wait for fortune, they seize it. So let's rip apart the myths of playing safe and polite, and expose why risk-takers win, not in theory, not in fairy tales, but in the raw, merciless reality of history and human nature. Fortune favors the bold. Machiavelli warned. Fortune is a woman, and if you want to control her, you must treat her roughly. Does that sound ruthless? Good, because opportunities don't land in your lap. They're taken by force. The ones who hesitate, they're left behind muttering "what if" while someone else writes history. Take Julius Caesar. He could have retired as a respected general, comfortable, safe, forgotten. But instead, he crossed the Rubicon, an act of treason against Rome, and marched straight into civil war. That single risk turned him into a legend. Without it, his name would be dust. Greatness doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who cross their own Rubicons, no matter the cost. Morality is a luxury of the victorious. Here's the dirty secret Machiavelli made crystal clear. Morality is optional, but winning is mandatory. Losers don't get remembered as noble. They get remembered as losers, if they're remembered at all. The winners? They get to rewrite morality itself. Look at Steve Jobs. Ruthless, abrasive, intolerant of mediocrity. People hated working for him, but they loved buying from him. He didn't build Apple by asking nicely. He built it by demanding, by risking, by pushing until reality bent. Being good won't save you. Being effective will. The world forgives the sins of the successful because people worship results. Fear is stronger than love. This is Machiavelli's most famous and most hated idea. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Why? Because love is fragile. Love depends on emotion, and emotions change with the wind. But fear keeps people loyal when love fails. Fear is insurance against betrayal. Risk-takers know this. They don't waste energy trying to please everyone. They project strength, certainty, even intimidation, because they know fear locks people in place. In business, politics, even personal relationships, the one who inspires fear commands respect long after affection fades. Risk is the only path to power. Every empire is built on a gamble. Every throne is won through risk. Playing it safe only ensures mediocrity. Think of Elon Musk betting everything on SpaceX, rockets exploding, billions on the line, bankruptcy looming. He risked it all, and now SpaceX owns the sky. Meanwhile, the cautious executives at established aerospace companies, they hesitated. They laughed at him. And now they're eating his dust. Better to gamble and reign for a day than to live a century as a servant. Security is an illusion. Here's what Machiavelli knew, and what most people can't stomach. Security is an illusion. Life itself is risk. Every breath is borrowed. The only question is, are you going to use your short, brutal existence to play it safe or to win? You can hide behind routines, behind comfort, behind rules. But storms still come. Empires still fall. The ones who thrive are those who embrace the chaos, who understand that safety is the greatest risk of all. Adaptability is ruthless survival. The risk-taker's power isn't just in gambling. It's in adapting when the gamble goes wrong. Because here's the truth. You will fail. Risk guarantees it. But failure isn't final if you can pivot. A prince who refuses to adapt is doomed. A leader who can bend, shift, strike from new angles, unstoppable. Risk-takers don't crumble under failure. They weaponize it. Every loss becomes a lesson, every setback a setup for domination. This is why risk-takers win. They reject safety, laugh at morality, wield fear, gamble everything, and adapt relentlessly. Machiavelli didn't preach comfort, he preached conquest. And now, we'll go deeper. We'll uncover the ruthless tactics Machiavelli taught, the actual moves you can use today to bend people, power, and fortune to your will. Because in the end, the world doesn't belong to the cautious. It belongs to the risk-takers savage enough to seize it. You've seen why risk-takers win. Now let's sharpen the blade. It's time for tactics, Machiavellian strategies you can use today. Not fluffy advice, not recycled motivational nonsense. Pure, cold power moves. Control perception, control reality. Machiavelli understood a brutal truth. People don't see reality, they see appearances. If you control appearances, you control outcomes. The masses want illusions. They crave certainty, confidence, spectacle. Give them what they crave. Risk-takers don't waste time explaining their every move. They craft an image of dominance and let others fill in the blanks. That's why great leaders exaggerate victories and bury defeats. That's why strong brands project invincibility. Because the perception of power often becomes power itself. Strike decisively, not constantly. Machiavelli despised hesitation. He warned that indecision kills leaders faster than enemies. But he also taught, don't strike blindly. Strike decisively. When you take risks, don't tiptoe. Move with violence, speed, and finality. A half risk is suicide. A full commitment terrifies rivals and rallies followers. Alexander the Great didn't win by cautious steps. He moved faster than enemies could react. Elon Musk doesn't launch small promises. He bets billions. The decisive strike creates shockwaves that hesitation never could. Use enemies as fuel. Machiavelli loved enemies. Why? Because enemies prove your strength. Friends flatter, enemies sharpen. Risk-takers don't whine about haters. They weaponize them. Every critic, every rival becomes free publicity. Every attack becomes proof of relevance. Think of how powerful figures thrive on controversy. They turn outrage into attention and attention into dominance. The more enemies you have, the more important you appear. If no one hates you, you're not risking enough. Build loyalty through self-interest. Machiavelli's advice to princes: don't rely on loyalty from gratitude. Gratitude fades. Build loyalty from self-interest, because self-interest never sleeps. Risk-takers understand this game. They don't beg for loyalty. They design systems where betrayal costs more than obedience. Want loyalty in business? Pay well. Offer status. Make sure leaving you means losing more than staying. Want loyalty in relationships? Provide value no one else can. Want loyalty and power? Make followers dependent on your rise. Never trust loyalty born from kindness. It dies the moment circumstances shift. But loyalty tied to self-interest is unbreakable. Learn to be the fox and the lion, one of Machiavelli's most savage teachings. A ruler must be both fox and lion. The lion scares wolves. The fox avoids traps. Risk-takers win because they know when to roar and when to scheme. Too much force without cunning is brute stupidity. Too much cunning without force is cowardice. But combined, unstoppable. Be feared like a lion when challenged. Be cunning like a fox when opportunities appear. Know when to show teeth and when to vanish into the shadows. Break rules before they break. Your rules are built to protect those in power, not to elevate you. If you obey blindly, you stay beneath them. Machiavelli taught that laws, customs, and traditions should be respected publicly, but broken privately when they block your rise. Risk-takers don't worship rules. They bend them, twist them, or shatter them. They understand that true power belongs to those who write the rules, not those who follow them. Fortune belongs to the ruthless. Let's be clear, fortune is chaos. It punishes hesitation and rewards aggression. Machiavelli compared fortune to a river. If you build dams, dig channels, and act boldly, you control its flow. But if you sit idle, the flood sweeps you away. Risk-takers don't wait for perfect timing. They make timing irrelevant by acting so boldly that the world has to react. The final ruthless lesson. The timid want security. The ambitious crave dominance. Machiavelli didn't write for the timid. He wrote for those willing to risk everything. History belongs to the Caesars, the Alexanders, the Musks, the Jobs, the ones who gambled their lives, their reputations, their fortunes, and won. The rest, forgotten. So the question isn't, should you take risks? The question is, are you willing to live with the consequences of not taking them? Because the harshest truth is this: safety won't save you. Comfort won't crown you. Only risk has the power to turn nobodies into legends. If you're ruthless enough to claim what's yours, if you're hungry enough to gamble everything, then remember Machiavelli's words: fortune is a woman, and she favors the bold. This is why risk-takers win. If you want more raw, unfiltered lessons on power, history, and dominance, subscribe now. Because playing safe won't get you anywhere. But this channel? This is where the wolves sharpen their teeth. Subscribe, or get left behind.